Well, hey YouTube, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? Definitely making quite a few videos today. I'm gonna try to make a lot of videos on Sunday here, and maybe tomorrow as well. So I'm gonna let you guys know in advance. This is gonna be a bit of a rant video. Try not to make it just a rant type thing, but trust me, for many of you, it'll be worth it. Because a lot of what I have to say, I think, will not be necessarily just a rant, but I try not to do that, very much. But there's a minority of you, maybe, out there that might see this, that might be offended. Well, in this case, I truly don't mind in this case. You'll have to see what I'm talking about here. But for many of you, I think this will probably be pretty worthwhile to hear. So I've mentioned before a bit about myself in other videos, and if you've been watching other videos, I think you'll probably know what kind of person I am. And I am myself. I'm definitely not being anybody else online, or I'm not even doing a lot of comedy, that sort of thing. So what you hear is really me. Of course, it's always much more apparent what kind of person someone is if you meet them in person, obviously. But we have outstanding weather right now, so I thought maybe the scenery might kind of tone down a little bit of what I'm saying here. So anyway, starting with this premise that a lot of you guys know what kind of person I am, more or less, at least to a certain extent, and especially if you've seen some of the videos specifically more about myself. You always hear at least some part of my personality in my videos. Okay, that all being said, there's some things that I've really hated about being younger, and a lot of what that was being around most of the time people that were very irritating. I was never a very immature person myself, or if you want to use that term, only in certain respects. But I was always a very thoughtful person. That's just the way I am. There are things, of course, that I have, certain weaknesses. But one of them is definitely not being, a heel, not being an annoying person. That would be a lot of people I grew up. That's almost the complete opposite of my personality. I'm much more likely to be a hothead or upset about something than I am to be a heel or to be teasing kind of person. And particular boys, some of the boys I grew up with were a little bit like that, of course. That's when I was a boy. And girls have been kind of silly and often not really a whole lot of substance to them. Again, growing up, not a whole lot. Not enough to, or at least when you get to a certain age, of course, you're interested in girls more, and I was often disappointed by girls growing up. So, yeah. Now I'm getting more, bit by bit I'm getting there. What I'm going to talk about. Of course, I was just at church today. And as things go, if you go to any church that is worthwhile to go to, you're definitely going to do a lot of introspection, a lot of contemplation about how to improve in life, what to do differently. Otherwise, I don't know, it's an internal thing. And oftentimes people don't really know. Sorry, there's somebody behind me that's having a big conversation, so that's going on. I'm going to go up here for a little bit. So, sorry, again, this is a loud conversation. I do apologize. So yeah, I've often been pretty miserable when I was younger, at least socially. Not completely, of course. I always had friends and things. So some people I knew that were a bit more to my liking, but not too many. That's just the way things go with some people like myself. We definitely pick up on a lot of people's humanity, especially as we get older. Well, we do when we're younger, but some things bother us perhaps more a bit when we're younger. Other things bother us more when we're older. Or we notice a lot more things about people when we get older. Yeah. So, okay. I mentioned something like this before. This is just one part of what I'm going to say here. But I'll say this again. I cannot stand young women that are addicted to their phones, that are addicted to online media, and hide behind a screen, and think they know something about someone they're talking to. And I'm specifically going after young women here. Young men, well, at least for me, my own personality, I don't know why it doesn't bother me as much. Again, perhaps if I was younger, maybe it would. I know it's not good. Right? I tend to cut them a little slack. Of course, believe me, I've blocked many young men as well from my channel because it's just a bit more direct with young men a lot of times. Some knuckleheads and just need to be blocked. With young women, I don't know. I'm being pretty severe here, but I'm specifically going after this passive-aggressive anxiety crap. If you're anxious, I should be a lot more compassionate. But if you're not, I don't have any patience for you. So for those people watching this video that this applies to, don't even say anything. Don't even watch my stuff. Go watch something else. And work on yourself first before you see my stuff. I don't have any time for your crap. And I'm trying to hold myself back here a little bit, so I shouldn't. If you're an immature young woman, you probably shouldn't be online anyway. Wait till you're 16 or 17 or 18, and for heck, oh my gosh, do us all a favor and just stop acting like little girls when you're online. I don't have any patience or time for your nonsense. And if you have any questions what I'm talking about, you can by all means ask me. I'm a grown man. I work for a living. This is something I do on the side. And the reason I'm getting so upset about this is because of how many young women this applies to. If you want some kind of moral or ethical or someone else to verify what I'm saying, you don't have to go any farther than leadership of my church or any other Christian church you can think of, or any Muslims you can think of, or Jews, or anyone else that is any leadership of anything. And heck, you don't even have to go to religion. You can just go to any older gentleman or older woman, right? Anyone who's an elder, or anyone who's, a grandma or grandpa, or anybody that has their heads on straight, and ask them about this, and they'll say, yeah, this is good, this is not so good. Young women, don't waste my time. Don't waste anybody else's time. If you have something of substance to say it, or don't say it at all. Okay, now I'm going after young women here in this regard, but really, this is getting very, very annoying. If you're a young man and you want to be silly, I might have a little more patience for that. But let's just say that because there's more people out in the world than just me, right? It's probably not a good idea to act in certain ways around people that might be more bothered by that sort of thing. Now, again, I was very bothered when I was younger by more young men, by boys my age. That would be silly. I just didn't really have a clue what was going on with girls. I didn't have a clue. I wasn't sure what I thought about girls. when I was a boy. As a teenager, I wanted to like them. I wanted somebody really great, I could meet, But life is life, and whoever I knew that was actually halfway decent, I thought, okay, she's a pretty cool girl, but yeah, I mean, it's beneath you. It's been, if any of you have the mistaken notion that you can watch one video and that somehow tells you even the slightest inkling of an idea about somebody, well, maybe, hey, sometimes it does. But it's all nothing like, again, let's not kid ourselves, it's nothing like real life. It might seem like I'm just saying, hey, understand me better. What I'm also saying is, now this is a real problem, and I've mentioned this before. If you're, again, some little... if you're a young woman, okay, grow up a little, make some friends in real life, learn how to talk to people with more respect, try to figure out people better, try to struggle a little bit, go through some struggles in life. Then you can comment on my videos with a little bit more understanding of humanity. If you've just got a phone, a brand new phone, and you're looking up all kinds of random videos, just spare me, okay? Spare me your nonsense. Go watch some other teenagers doing something stupid. I don't have any time for your crap. Again, I'm a full-grown adult. Don't bother me. If you're a person that has more maturity, by all means, feel free to watch my stuff. Do I have any patience for teenagers that are silly, that are young women in real life? Of course. It's real life. I can kind of see what's going on. And they'd have to be pretty bratty to actually make me a little bit annoyed. Online, you have no way of knowing how old a person is a lot of times, such as another issue in and of itself. You have no way of knowing anything about a person other than they're being an annoying twat. We don't want to hear that crap. I can't be clearer in this point. Noisy family is gone. Very good. Okay. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is honestly, I think that in this day and age, it's very, very difficult for a lot of us to just get out of ourselves. I live in Western Washington, and a lot of people would think that it's great that we have a more liberal state where there's less people that are religious or less people that are, we'll say, dogmatic and whatever. You know what? Western Washingtonians are not very friendly. And I'll be honest. Yeah. There's many different kinds of liberals. We won't get into that. I've mentioned that before. And you probably know already which types of liberals I get along with better. But no, it's a Seattle freeze. I don't live in Seattle. Seattle is not a very great place to live, in my opinion. I don't know why anybody would want to live in Seattle at this point. I think, Seattle might, I don't know. It's not a place where it's easy to make friends with people unless, I can think of a few types, but, So, I thought about moving at some point, I don't know, at some point. Washington is kind of depressing, even if you like trees, which I like trees a lot. It's depressing because I mentioned that kind of Seattle freeze thing. Well, people around here tend to care about the following: their own selves, if they're married, their families, their job. That's really maybe a car or something, their house, all their possessions. And that's really about it. Very, very self-centered area. Anybody who thinks beyond those terms is it's amazing when you meet them. It's just not a very friendly area. And if I move somewhere, I would like to move somewhere a little friendlier. The crazy thing is, you have places I've heard of that want to be more like hipster Washington and Oregon, Portland, basically. Places in Europe and things, and of course Boston. Any place beautiful seems to always attract liberals. You're always going to have a mix of conservatives and liberals. There's nothing the liberals can do about that. But any place beautiful and temperate, in this case, this is tropical areas of the world I'm not talking about, maybe so much in this video. But, we oftentimes are very smitten by the idea of living in Europe. But in Europe, it's becoming many places are becoming more liberal. So what I'm trying to say is people are often much more guarded and not as social. Why? I can tell you why. This has to do with the deterioration of society. And a lot of that deterioration has to do with the various things about being liberal that are not good. Spiritually. But again, it depends on what kind of liberal you are. There's no hard and fast rules for being liberal. It just means that you don't always agree with all the older ways of doing things. That's what it means. That's essentially what it means. Conservative is older ways, liberal is newer ways. And it kind of depends on the culture too, because it's very easy to think of white Europeans when it comes to conservatism, but Arabs and Turks and Asians and Africans, all kinds of people can be conservative as well. We just don't tend to think of immediately the United States as being conservative. But that's again what it means. Conservative is old ways, liberal, new ways. Now we've had hippies back in the 1960s, so we've had those guys, they're old enough now, where there really is kind of a little bit of a thought process going on where everything's shifting again. Everything's shifting all the time. It's all just social. It's all shifty. This is the thing about this kind of whole area of life. If it's something generalized and shifty, that's why I didn't go into it in college. That's why I went into music. It's too hard to have a word mean the same thing over 500 years. It's very, very, well, it has to be a very literal word, or a very concrete word, to keep its meaning about the same. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to meet some friendlier folks around here. Sure. Yeah, so more on that later. What else was I going to talk about here? A little bit. I don't have a lot of patience for people that don't have a lot of patience for me and don't really want, it's like, why would somebody want to say to somebody, you're not very important to me, in whatever context? Why would someone actually say that? I'd rather almost say, you're a big meanie, right? Something juvenile like that. Yeah, seriously, why would someone say that sort of thing? No, of course you have some very not cool people out there. But isn't it funny how we guard ourselves against evil? But it's always the nicer folks that say those kinds of things at times that hurt us more. Why is that? Well, because we open ourselves up more to them, to those sorts of people. Well, I would think we would. We say, hey, this person actually might be a decent person. And they cut us down. And it kind of depends on how old they are, depends on their maturity. The more mature they are, the older they are. And of course, as I mentioned before, it's always so hard to see these things online. So it makes it even more frustrating to do anything social online. It's almost pointless sometimes. Everybody wants to be incognito, but everybody wants more out of their social stuff online. You have to give in order to get something back. It doesn't. Anyway. Yeah, but I mean, Honestly, who says that kind of stuff? You don't matter. Right? Anything along those lines. It's one of the worst things you can say to somebody. Really. And if you're a halfway decent person, so okay, let me just mention this in it as well. This is nothing new to me. When I was growing up, again, this is a frustration I have with young women, but also young men somewhat, but this is shifting more to young women, I think, a little bit. It's the sorts of folks that would put on a happy face, dress up nice for church, be more respectable, right, in society, be more well thought of. But in reality, they're not really all that great people. Yep, it's fine to think of ditzy, blonde, rich blonde women in California. Whatever. I totally understand all that train of thought. And everything like that. Right? And specifically looking at white people, I totally understand that as well. Trust me, I do. I mean, Europeans are very arrogant. Many, many, many times. More often than not, it's Europeans that get the brunt of my anger. Everyone else, I don't know, sure, sometimes, sure. Sometimes you have some pretty arrogant Asians, but for whatever reason, maybe that sentiment's growing a little bit, but not very much. I don't like to be upset with Asians. It's not that they know martial arts. I'm just trying to be funny here, but it's not just some wow factor that when I was younger, they're different or whatever, but it really is the fact that most Asian people really do try to make an effort to be very courteous. I've noticed that about Asians in general. It makes it different. It's a different kind of vibe. Granted, though, with America, there are a lot of Asians that are become very American. And so, yeah, increasingly they are acting more European in that negative aspect. And you have all these other people, Hispanics, Asians, Arabs, all the other ethnicities in the world. And so many of these folks and Indians, things seem refreshingly more themselves. Much more awesome to be around. Why is that? I don't know. Some people really are very specific about who they want to spend time with and who they don't. There's nothing new to me. And again, I'm going after Europeans here. And I might just do another walk around here. How much? Maybe I'll wrap this up here. But at least make some other videos in a bit. So just so that you guys know, I cannot stand that attitude of, oh, you're just not cool enough. Oh, no, I just don't have any time for you. Or I don't, whatever, go away kind of thing. And this coming from a person who you assume is a decent person, and you know that you're a decent person too. And it happens a lot of times we think, oh, this is a personality conflict. Oh, this is more of a juvenile thing. Oh, this is a young person growing up, whatever. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to any age. You just tend to see more and tend to anticipate more the older you get. But no, there's nothing good about that at all. It's fine to want to be more particular about maybe who you spend more time with. But when you every thought you have about anyone else, every thought you're gonna have to give an accounting for someday. Some people have a lot of good in them, but not a lot of social attractiveness, even if they're not physically attractive, or even if they are physically attractive. Whatever it is, there's a lot of things about various people that can be less desirable for us, depending on what we are looking for in whatever kind of relationship. But the thing is, it's we're talking about being fake with people, right? Fakeness versus honesty. If you're not sure how to talk to somebody, just say, I really don't know what to say. I'm not sure. Let me explain. You might be extremely vulnerable, and hardly anyone ever does this because it makes you very vulnerable. But it's a very humble way of being, which I've rarely seen. Who you would think young women are more humble than young men a lot of times. I have rarely seen young women do this. It's not at all, and it's only when they know you very, very well, right? Young women don't have the guts. They don't have the courage a lot of times, with very few exceptions. I have really had a lot of negative experiences with this sort of thing. They don't have the guts to say this stuff. They expect guys to to do all the tough stuff, all the heavy lifting. Many young women. There are no other exceptions, but this is what I'm going after a little bit too. Believe me, I'm not holding back. I certainly won't hold back in the next video once I have additional thoughts come. But yeah, we don't have any time for this crap, young women. Getting back to my first train of thought. Don't bother people unless you have something funny to say. And if, occasionally we get upset online, just get upset. Don't be, yeah, I mean, really. It's because sometimes we open ourselves up a little bit. Oh, you're a girl. Oh, you're a young woman. I need to be more considerate. I need to be more thoughtful. I'm going to be more gentle about what I say to you. Unless you come across as being a feminazi or some butch woman right off the bat, a very aggressive woman. Probably won't go that route so much. So, right off the bat I could just say, nope, not talking to you. But once I say that, nope, I put my wall, I'm no different than a lot of other people that, put up walls for dumb reasons as well. So I don't want to do that. But I felt like I have to do that so that I don't waste my time with your nonsense. So, again, young women, stop being nonsensical, stupid, wasting everybody's time, whether online or real life. Talk to you later.